Hello viewers, I'm SB, and this has been a very stressful month for me. I got a lot going on, and the whole world is... I don't have to tell you, you're living through it too. And on top of that, I've just been burning through a lot of games in quick succession here, trying to prepare myself for doing Game of the Year, which is a video that should be coming out pretty soon. And basically, I've fried myself a little bit. I overcommitted. And so I need some chill-out time. I need some low-impact play time. And I know some of you out there are saying already, hey, SB, it's cool. If you need to chill out, just go ahead and do that. We don't need more videos. And you're all very sweet. I really appreciate that. But unfortunately, you know who's not saying that to me? The YouTube algorithm. So, in the interest of killing two birds with one stone, having my chill-out time, refreshing myself a little bit, but also continuing to produce content so that YouTube doesn't think I'm dead and deprioritizes my videos, we're going to play some solo board games. We're going to play a handful of games here of Viscounts of the West Kingdom, here in Tabletop Simulator. This game, apparently, is the most recent in a series. There's a bunch of X of the West Kingdom games. I have not played any of them except this one, but I think this one's really cool, and I'm eager to share it with you all. So, I don't usually start these videos with a big rules explanation. Those of you who have seen the kinds of games I like in the past are looking at this and going, yep, I see. I see why he likes this one. Look at the number of components on that table. We're just going to start playing. By the end of the first turn, I will have explained a lot of the concepts, and hopefully you'll understand the shape of the game, and by the end of the video, maybe even be able to play it yourself, provided that I understand the rules correctly and model them correctly for you. And if you see me making rules mistakes, please do feel free to leave that stuff in the comments below so that I can correct them for the future games in the series. So, without further ado, let's get to it. This here is our player board. And you can see there's a lot of iconography. It looks complicated. There's a lot of little bits to this game, but it's not really that complex. You will be able to follow along. So this row, the brown row on our player board, describes our turn. So we can just walk along it and do the things that it says. So here, the first phase of our turn is the card management phase. We have this area down here representing our townsfolk, the townsfolk who are currently working for us. The first thing you do in the card management phase is slide all of your active townsfolk one space to the right. Right now we don't have any, so hey, that's pretty easy. First step done. Who says board games are hard? The next thing we do is play a card from our hand. So here's our hand of townsfolk cards. You can see in the top left there is a number. When cards are out in the towns in the big board at the center of the table, that number functions as the cost that you have to pay to hire them. Once you have them in your deck, that number represents the number of points of movement they give you when you play them. And then below that, we have some colored symbols, in this case one blue bag, that tells you how many resources they add to your tasks, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then down at the bottom of the card, the effect that they have. Without explaining all of the implications of this move, I think we're going to start with a thief. Let's play a thief first. So, this little symbology here notes that if you play a card that has a purple skull, that is a criminal card, at this stage, you gain some corruption. You gain 1 point of corruption for each skull you have showing in your tableau. So this purple area in the middle of the board is the corruption and virtue area. You have a corruption marker and a virtue marker. Anytime you gain corruption, and you can see the corruption symbol is a black disc with a little purple arrow pointing right in it. Anytime you gain corruption, your corruption marker moves this way. Anytime you gain virtue, your virtue marker moves to the left. When they collide, something happens, and we're not going to worry about it until the first time that actually occurs. So we've gained a point of corruption because we have criminals in our employ here. Now the symbology at the bottom of the card, this symbol over here on the right, the X, tells us when this card's effect happens. The X means that this is a fall-off effect. When the thief slides off the right side of our board into our discard pile, that's when we get this, so we don't have to worry about this at all yet. Which means, we're done with that phase, we move into the movement phase. So we have 1 point of movement from our thief. You can see over here, each of the players in the game has a Viscount. We have ours down here, ours up here in orange. Our opponent is playing blue, almost exactly across the board from us. And the villages here are what we are spending our points of movement to move through. So you can see each of the villages has some arrows indicating the paths that you can take out of it, and each village gives you access to different actions. There are 4 different types of actions in the game. Each turn we will take one of them. Trade, build, I don't remember what this one's called, but it's like recruiting workers to work in the castle to help rebuild the castle. And this one is writing manuscripts. They're color-coded, and the resources that they use are colored the same, so it'll be easy to keep track once we actually get into it. So, we're looking to move into the village that will let us take the right kind of action. So we must move the number of spaces depicted on the card we played. That's mandatory. And then we may move additional spaces at the cost of 1 coin each. And I'm totally going to do that. We're going to decrement our starting supply of 4 coins to 3 here in order to move 1 additional space, because I want to be right here for the action we're about to take. And that action is this one. We're going to take the gold action. So this symbol here denotes that you can temporarily hire the Townsfolk card that's in the part of the board that your Viscount is in, if you want to have them help with your action. So if we did that, we would get his recruit bonus here in his top right. This one is shuffle your discard pile back into your deck. And then he would lend us his symbols for the rest of this action. So we would get an extra skull, which is a nice thing to have, but we're not going to do that. Don't worry about that for right now. So when we take an action, the way this works is we count up the number of relevant symbols. You can see for the gold action, the one we're taking, it's this gold fleur-de-lis symbol. So we have one of them printed on our board right here. When a card fills up this slot, it'll cover that, but for right now, that's available to us. And then we have another one right here, because the skull is wild. Criminals acquire corruption, but they're also very powerful because they can do every task. So that gives us 2 symbols. And then in addition, we can spend resources, like this, to increase our symbol count. Now, over here, you can see the gold action has like a bit of a weird conversion chart. If we have 1 gold symbol, we can place 1 worker. If we have 3 gold symbols, we can place 2. 5 lets us place 3, and 8 lets us place 4. I think we're gonna spend 1 gold to combine with our 1 showing symbol and our 1 showing wild to place 2 workers. So 2 of our workers go into the first tier of the castle in the section nearest our Viscount. Each one of these guys is worth a point for each tier of the castle that they have made it to by the end of the game. People in the outer ring are worth 1 each. People in the inner ring are worth 2 each, and people in the center are worth 3. So this is just victory points right away. But also, as we continue to place workers into the castle, they'll get deeper and deeper, and they'll start to earn us additional rewards. So I think that's our move there. And that's all we're going to do for this. So we've finished our main action. Now we enter the permanent recruit phase. Now we can pay the cost on the Townsfolk card in the section of the board our Viscount is in to add them to our deck. And we're totally going to do that. I want this racketeer. I like criminals. So he costs 2. Go ahead and pay our 2. And then when we recruit him, we get his recruit effect, which is shuffle your discard pile back into your deck. Alright, every time you shuffle your deck in this game, if you have 1 or more criminal symbols showing in your tableau, you gain a corruption. If you have 0 criminal symbols, you gain a virtue. We are all crimed up, so another corruption for us. It might sound like corruption is a bad thing and virtue is a good thing, but honestly, it's kind of fluid. For reasons that you'll see, there's like a really interesting tension between these 2 things. Then after the recruitment phase, we enter a phase where we do a thing if our discs have collided. They have not, so we just move on to the final phase where we draw back to our maximum hand size. At the beginning of the game, your hand size is 3. That we may be able to expand that over the course of things. And that's a turn. that was a little complicated. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of stuff going on here. But don't worry, you'll get the hang of it, and they'll never be much more complex than that. So now we come over here to the AI. Our AI companion, for some reason, the cards that govern what the AI does do not have their correct backs in this tabletop mod. I don't know why. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. So at the start of the AI's turn, they get a card dealt out the same way we do. Their card has symbols on it to help them work, and then we just go down the list here and do all of the things that it states. So first of all, this symbol. For a player, this means recruit a card without paying its cost, but I believe it means something a little different for the AI. This icon indicates that the AI will dismiss the Townsfolk card currently adjacent to their Viscount. The card is removed from the game, and they gain the immediate effect in the top right of the card. But they do not get the icons from it. Okay, so they get... this guy just gets thrown away, and they get a black card. That is to say, a debt. So, we have black cards, debts, and red cards, deeds. This little yellow flag symbol is the way the game depicts victory points. So you can see a deed is worth 1 victory point. A debt is worth -2 victory points. Various actions over the course of the game will allow you to flip your cards over. When you flip them over, they gain points, so deeds become worth 3. And debts lose their 2 negative points and let you pick a resource, let you gain a resource of your choice. However, they're not just resources and points. So over here you can see there's a limited number of debts and deeds. Both of these stacks started at 12. Obviously this one's down to 11 because you just picked something off of it. The game ends when one of these stacks runs out. Or rather, when one of these stacks runs out, it triggers the game end. We finish that round, and then we play one more complete round, and then the game is actually over. And when the game ends, if the black stacks have run out, players score bonus points based on the number of red cards that they flipped over. And vice versa. If the red cards ran out, players score points based on the number of black cards they flipped over. So you can see here, in the corruption and virtue area, the more virtue you have when your discs collide, the more red cards you get. The more corruption you have, the more black cards you get. So there's this interesting balancing act where you're trying not to run either of the piles out unless you're in a dominant position, but the point dominance of your position is based on how many of the other type of card you have and have managed to flip. So in a multiplayer game, there's this balance where everybody's trying to play off of each other and read what the other players are doing. With an AI who cannot be trusted to reason, I don't know exactly how this is going to work out. It's definitely going to be interesting. Okay, so he did that thing. He dismissed that guy, he got the bonus, and he does not get the townsfolk symbols. Okay. Then we move on to the next line. He moves 2 spaces. So the AI always just moves around the outer ring. It never goes to the inner towns. And then after having moved 2 spaces, he tries to take the gold action. And if he is unable to take the gold action, he instead flips one of his cards and gains a virtue. So, the gold action. Right now, the AI is showing 2 gold symbols and 3 gold. So he's going to be able to get to 5 symbols and make 3 workers, which is a pretty big deal, actually. 3 workers is a lot better than 2. So normally, human players can only take the blue and gray actions in the outer towns and can only take the gold and black actions in the towns on the inner ring. The AI can always do every action from wherever it's standing because it just moves around the outside. Alright, so 3 workers in here. This is where we get into the magic. After you've placed workers, any one of the castle regions that has 3 or more of your workers in it promotes a worker. So that worker bounces up to here, and one worker from the section moves out clockwise, one worker from the section moves out counterclockwise. Here he could take a gold, or he could move a worker sideways again. The AI always takes the first option of the offered rewards. So Alright, get one of your gold back. And I mean, that's a pretty good start in terms of just like raw points per action. That's pretty solid. And then this thing only happens if they're unable to take the gold actions. So, they've done that, and I think that's just the end of the turn. Let's go over here and make sure. Like I said, I've not actually played this in solo. Yep, move cards to the right, then turn over the top card from the scheme draw pile. Carry out the effects listed on the card from top to bottom. And yep, game ends in the same way as a standard game. Okay, so that was the AI's entire turn. We'll try to keep this on the reference page. And that's it. We just play back and forth like that until one or both of these piles runs out, triggering the end of the game. So, card management. First things first. The thief slides to the right. Then we play a new card in its place. So the thief has covered up a black symbol, a silver symbol, and a gold, but covered it up with a wild, so at least we'll be okay at whatever. We're down to 1 coin, and I really don't like being out of money, so how feasible is it for us to get more money this turn? There's a town up here where we could trade for money. There's a town right here where we could trade for money, but sadly, you can never go backwards. You're always moving clockwise. So you can see there's no route from here to there. So if we wanted to make it to this town, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. Fortunately, we can totally make that happen. Let's go ahead and play a financier. So the lightning bolt tells you that this ability fires immediately upon playing the card, and that ability is get to money, and you may discard either a card from your hand or the top card of your deck. My feeling is that we're unlikely to play this squire anytime soon, so I'm just going to drop him right now. Remember, at the end of the turn, we draw up to our maximum hand size, so getting cards out of your hand does help you cycle through your deck faster. Alright, and then we have 3 movement and a blue bag symbol here. So we are, in fact, going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. That 4th movement costing us a coin. And here, we can conduct the trade action at a rate of 1 blue bag, earning us 1 coin. We will not be temporarily hiring the townsfolk in the middle there because it's just super irrelevant to the action we're taking, and also very expensive. So, what do we got showing? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 bags, and I guess that's it. We don't really have a way of getting anything else going here. So, okay, I'll take 4 money. That seems fine. And then we enter the recruitment phase. So what is your deal, Overseer? When hired, the Overseer allows you to rearrange the cards in your tableau, put all 3 of them in whichever slots you want, and then this is when you take the gold action, you can destroy one of the cards from your deck to thin your deck out, or you can discard a card. And the recycle symbol here, the ongoing symbol, indicates that this is just an ability that you have the entire time the Overseer is in your tableau. Anytime you take the gold action, you get that. I don't think I want to hire you. You're expensive and kind of, well, we did hire workers already. I suppose we could lean in on hiring workers. Maybe that could be the linear we pursue. The only card we bought so far is a criminal. So we're not really locked into anything yet. We have a pretty flexible strategy. But we worked hard to get all this money. I don't think I want this Overseer. We're not going to recruit. Alright, then nothing happens here, and we draw back up to our maximum hand size. Okay. Awful lot of trade symbols here. Alright, the AI's turn. What's up, AI? Shifts over, and okay, criminal symbol. Gain corruption. If you played criminal, then gain a card. Icon, add 1 card from the top of the future scheme draw pile, face up on top of their discard pile. Okay, so these are like fancier ones, but it's added face up, so we get to know the AI is going to play the gold action again next turn. Okay, that's interesting. And then move 1 space. And This is attempt to take your preferred action. So there are 4 different AI boards. They all work a little bit differently. They have different preferred symbols. Whenever it tells you to take the preferred action, you just look at the top left of the board here. In our case, the preferred action is the gold action. This is the AI that really likes to hire workers. So attempt to take the gold action, and if you can't do that, instead gain a deed and flip a debt. Well, right now we are showing 3 gold symbols. And also we have 1 gold, so I guess we are adding 2 workers. And we are still in this portion of the board, so the 2 workers go right here. Yeah, not bad so far. A lot of points accumulated already for this AI. And then I do believe we are finished. Yeah, okay. It's a pretty simple turn. This next turn is going to be a little bit better. So what's he going to do? He's going to reshuffle, although he doesn't have a discard pile. And then move, and then take the gold action again, and it's again going to be quite effective. Well. Alright, so for our turn. Card management, we move some cards over to the right, and then we have to decide what we want to play here. So the lender has a fall-off ability that will flip one of our red or black cards, obviously very important for long-term scoring. And that's a thing you really want to prep for. But honestly, it feels to me like we probably want to take advantage of these resource actions. You know, building a building is not a bad idea. We could take the silver build action. So right now, we have no stone, but playing the stone cutter will get us one. And then we'll have hammer plus skull plus stone, which would allow us to build one of these 3 hammer buildings over here. Which are fine. How much movement is on that guy? 2? So we could take that action. Or we could play him as our card, move 1, 2, and then we'd have access to this mason that we could temporarily hire. We wouldn't even have to spend a stone to build the 3-stone building. We could just spend a coin instead, which I think is a better conversion. Maybe we just bank the stone. It would be really nice to be able to get to 5 hammers, but I don't see how we could possibly. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Let's play Stonecutter for our turn. Okay, so we have 2 points of movement from the Stonecutter. 1, 2. And let's take a build action. And we are going to temporarily hire the masons. So when you do a temporary hire of a townsfolk, you still got to pay their cost. You get their... Oops, that's the wrong way. There we go. You get their hire effect immediately, which is rearrange. And actually, that's really interesting. I'm going to delay the thief from falling off of our board for a turn. Let's move the financier over and keep the thief live because I want that skull next turn. Yeah. Yeah, so we get the higher effect, and then we have access to their symbols. We do not get their effect down here. We have access to their symbols for the rest of the action, and then they are removed from the game. So we got a hammer. So with that hammer, plus this hammer, plus this hammer... Oh, sorry, I was supposed to receive a stone upon playing this guy. With the hammer from our temporary hire plus these 2 hammers, we're just going to make one of these cheap buildings. So you can see here, at the end of the game, we will score points for each building type based on the number of buildings of that type. There are 3 of each that we built. And then, in addition, each building is standing on top of a symbol that improves your turn in some way. Let's build this, which increases our max hand size by 1. And when you build a building, it has to go into one of the building spaces that is adjacent to the town that you are building it from. So, do we want a virtue or do we want an ink? You know, honestly, I don't particularly want a virtue. That's my feeling. Let's grab 1 inkwell. So we made a couple of points there. Now that we've removed that, we're guaranteed at least 2 points from this building type, plus some resources and stuff, and I think a pretty good setup for next turn. So now we enter the recruitment phase. The card that is on top has changed over here. Do we want this missionary? We should probably pick a direction at some point here. Do we want to get really good at manuscripts, maybe? That's not a terrible idea. How much money do we have left? 5? I have found that if you let yourself run too low on money, it can be really painful. Alright, you know what? Let's play the manuscript game a little bit. I am, in fact, going to hire this missionary. And I'm just going to fill my deck with garbage, because that's how you win deck building games, right? Just have as many cards as possible. Alright, and then our discs have not collided, so we don't have to do this phase. Draw up to our max hand size, which is now 4. Look at all the choices. Look at all the options. Alright, and then that is the end of our turn here, so over to you, my friend. Alright, so, first of all, reshuffle discards into your draw pile. You don't actually do a shuffle if there is no discard pile to move over. And then move 1 space. Unless, let me make sure, does that symbol mean anything special for the AI? No, okay. Shuffle just has its normal meaning. So move over there, and then attempt the gold action. Well, you certainly do have 3 gold symbols showing. Not quite enough actual gold to get up to 5, but... Oh, actually, this works out really well for you, though. You place 2 workers, and then... By Jove, you've done it again! So, this guy moves up here, this guy moves over there, this guy moves over there, and we get this reward, which, when the AI receives it, means... they get one of their advanced, one of your future schemes on top of your deck. Well, would you look at that? So this time they'll try to take the manuscript action first. Yeah. But they're going to be doing gold action a lot. And then, hey, look at this. 3 workers in the same castle segment. So that happens, and you get another gold. And I am a little concerned. One thing I did take a quick look at the Board Game Geek topics for this game, just to see if there were any common mistakes that people make when playing the solo game. And the thing I saw more than once is that people get beat real bad by the AI. They lose by a lot of points while they're still figuring it out. And I can see how that might happen. That may happen to us right here. Alright, so that's your turn. Doing pretty well over there. Alright, so our cards all slide to the right. And now I believe my plan was to play Lothair, who immediately gives us a stone, and then use Lothair plus... if we just move 1 space, the card over here has a hammer, we can make one of those 5 hammer buildings happen, right? But we could also just play this laborer instead and get the hammer and not have to spend this... No, we want to play Lothair. We want to get all this stuff. Look at all this stuff. So immediately get stone plus ink plus gold. And you might be thinking, wow, that guy seems a lot better than your other cards. This guy is a hero card. Everybody gets to start with 1 hero card in their deck, and they're just, they're generally a little bit more powerful. Some of them are like Lothair, where they're sort of powerful in a broad sense, not particularly specialized or good at any one thing, while others give you sort of a linear to build around, and there's a draft that happens at the beginning of the game for the hero cards, so you can sort of drive your strategy from that early decision. Alright, so we get our resources, and then we have a single point of movement for our movement phase, and I'm pretty sure that we just want to move to right here. Because we got to stay in a position where we can hire a hammer for our plan to work, right? And then Yeah, we're going to do that. I will pay 1 silver for the temp hire here. Hiring ability is shuffle your discard pile back into your deck, which I will absolutely do. I would love to be able to draw Financier again. That sounds alright. When we shuffle, we do gain a corruption because we have a criminal symbol showing. It's fine. Listen, corruption's alright. Corruption's just fine. And then we have hammer and bag for the remainder of this action. So, 1, 2, 3 hammers, 4, and 5 hammers will allow us to build one of these buildings over here. And I think we're going to start with this guy. So this outpost allows you to move up to 1 extra space for free each turn. Obviously, pretty good. Saves you a lot of money over the course of the game. This one makes it so that you always get to pay only 1 coin to do the temporary hire. But this one has 2 bag symbols underneath it. And that's also going to save you or make you, depending on how you want to view it, a tremendous amount of money over the course of the game. So let us liberate those symbols. So, as you can see here, some of the building spaces are connected to other building spaces by a dotted line. When both of the spaces on the sides of a dotted line are filled, whoever built in them gets the reward in the middle. If it's 2 different players, they each get it. If it's just 1 player, they get the reward, but only once. You don't get it once for each building you have out. So right now, I don't actually think I want a virtue at the moment. I think I want if possible, I would love for my first collision to happen all the way over on the right side of the board, maybe? I mean, to some degree, it depends on whether I think the debt or the deed pile is going to run out first, and at this point in the game, I have no idea. So it's a little hard to say. So the question is, do I want to take a deed right now and gain a virtue? Or do I want to take a stone and just prepare for a virtue later? I think I'm going to take the stone, honestly. I think stone is a very good resource. Alright, and then we enter the permanent hire phase. Would I like to permanently hire a woodcutter? Honestly, I do like hammer a lot, but you cost 3? Never mind. This is not a question. I cannot do that thing. Alright, our discs have not yet collided, so draw back up to full. And hey, look at that. What luck. I think on our next turn we're probably playing Lender, because we just want to move 1 space over to the money village and use all of the bags that we'll be showing to get a bunch of money. But the Financier may come into play real quickly afterward. Alright, so now it is your turn. Let's do this thing. Alright, and hey, would you look at that? More gold symbols. So, nothing happens, then gain 2 virtue, then move once, and then attempt to take the manuscript action, and if you can't do that, take your preferred action, and if you can't do that, gain a deed, flip a debt. So, the manuscript action, right now we're showing 2 manuscript symbols and no inkwells. The manuscript in this part of the board, unfortunately, requires 3 symbols, so you can't do that. So instead, preferred action, hire workers, which we have, in fact, 5 symbols for, if we spend both gold. Yeah, bad news for me. This is going really well for the AI, actually. And unfortunately, they're getting to put a lot of their advanced schemes into play here. So, just like last time, 1 moves forward, 1 moves clockwise, 1 moves counterclockwise. And then the reward, which is get one of those fancy future schemes. Oh good, it's a criminal one too, so like powerful. Okay. I'm a little concerned. In case you were wondering, a little nervous. Alright, so back to our turn. Card management phase does this, and like I said, I believe we are sticking a lender. So we get 1 point of movement, which suits us just fine. Let's get some money back in our pockets here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 symbols showing, so let's just... Let's just get 6 money. It's not like an exciting turn, but it's fine. I guess I could have chosen to use the peddler, temporary hire the peddler, for 2 money to gain 3 money. But doing so will make us gain a virtue, and I am, like I said, I'm hoping to get a whole bunch of debts early on and then work to flip them while gaining deeds from there. I think we're gonna not hire the peddler. What does he do? When anyone resolves a collision of their discs, you gain an ink? That's a weird guy. He's not even bad, honestly. Like, am I being too precious here about trying to get my corruption? Maybe. Probably. Alright, you know what? We will perform our action with a temporary hire. So we would have paid our 2 coins, but then gotten an extra coin from the action because he is a third bag. And we get a virtue. It's just like it's a free money. Why would I not do that? Oh, interesting. The sculptor. So once per build action, you can spend a stone to get double hammer. You know what? I'm into it. Let's do it. That's an expensive guy, but I am way into it. Welcome aboard, sculptress, I guess. And when we do that, we can discard a card, either the top card of our deck or one of the cards in our hand. I am thinking, what's left in our deck? Our thief is still in our deck, which I wouldn't mind seeing. Also, the abbot and the squire, that is the single manuscript and single worker hire, neither of which is very exciting. There's 5 cards, like, I don't think I'm going to discard anything. The thing is, the closer we get to running out of cards, the faster we're going to be able to shuffle Lothair back in. I should discard something, and I think I want to hold all of these, so we're just going to discard off the top. Okay, we drop our abbot. I think that's actually fine. It's not like the best thing in the world. We are able to do a pretty good manuscript action, but yeah, it's fine. And then, so that was our hiring phase. Our discs have not yet collided, so draw back up to hand size. Oh hey, the trader. When you do a trade action, get a coin. That's okay. That's a fine one. Alright, all your stuff slides over. You gain a corruption, and then you get to flip one of your debts. So it goes from -2 points to 0 points plus gain a resource. You can see here, each AI board has a chart for their resource preferences. They gain a gold unless they already have 6 gold, in which case they gain an inkwell. And then move 2, chasing us around the board slowly. And then take preferred action if possible. And boy, is it possible. At least this time it's only 3 gold symbols, because they're one thing short. So they only get to place 2 workers. Unfortunately, 2 workers is actually totally sufficient to make stuff happen. So, 1 to the sides, 1 up here, and that is 2 virtue. And that means that a thing has happened. Okay, so we are done resolving your card. So we move into the resolve conflicts phase. So here's what happens. The person who has the conflict gets what is depicted above the space, or the collision rather. The person who has the collision gets what is depicted above the space where the collision happened. So for you, that is a preferred resource and a deed. And then everybody else at the table gets what is depicted below the space where the collision happened. So in my case, it's if I have a criminal symbol, gain a corruption, which I do not. That's a shame. I actually would have liked a corruption. And then after that, the markers get reset back to the edge. Okay, and then your turn is done. Gosh, that's a lot of workers. Unfortunately, we can't really interfere with that in a very meaningful way, as we just kind of have to keep doing our thing. You don't have quite as much ability to interact with the AI as you would a player, which, I mean, makes sense, because a player can defend themselves against your machinations, whereas an AI obviously could not. And I am debating, I think we're going to play this Racketeer, because I'm going to try to push our corruption up and see if we can't get our collision to happen in this space. So if we play Racketeer, we get 2 movement. Which, there's a lot of things we could do with 2 movement. How much do I want to be just pushing through all of my buildings? Quite a lot, right? Because like with each category of building, you get escalating points for each one. The first workshop is 2 points, but the second one is worth 3, and the third one is worth 4. So we really do want to complete categories of buildings. And then obviously also, making buildings happen gets you extra symbols and stuff. So, the big buildings in the middle, the guild halls, unfortunately require 7 hammers. Pretty unrealistic at the moment. Is there a shuffle discards on the table? There is. But we're all the way over here. 1, 2, 3 would get us the ability to temporary hire the disciple just to get the shuffle effect, to get all of our good building cards back. Alright, we're going to play Racketeer. So upon playing Racketeer, we gain a corruption for each skull that we have showing. And then we have 2 movement and also 6 money. So I think our move is 1, 2, 3, 4? I think we spend a little bit. Because right now... Oh, never mind. I was doing that because I thought we were going to build a cheap building, but actually we only have 1 skull plus 1 stone right now. We can't build. Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll pay 1 extra coin for that 3rd space of movement, and we'll just do we'll do a manuscript, I guess. It's not like awesome, but I really want to be right here. Yeah, so actually, you know what? Honestly, it's not horrible. So we are going to pay 1 coin for that temporary hire. Get that reshuffle effect. Just bring you over here. Do a shuffle. When we do that, we gain a corruption because we do have a skull showing. So that's brilliant. And we also get a manuscript symbol off of this disciple. So that's convenient. So that plus this skull plus 1 inkwell allows us to write the 3-symbol manuscript in this space. And when we take this, we immediately get the effect on the right there, which is a deed. It's a good thing to have. Deeds are points. Just like it says in the Bible. Now, you'll notice that this should be flipped over. The different manuscripts have different colored ribbons in them. At the end of the game, as our handy-dandy reminder card tells us, at the end of the game, we will score points for sets of manuscripts with different colored ribbons. So this manuscript we took right now, as a set of 1, is worth a single point. But if we pick up anything other than a black ribbon, then we'll make a set worth 4, and so on. You know, you can get a fair number of points from that. In addition, there are these cards down here that award you additional stuff if you are the first player to get to 3 ribbons of 1 color. So if we got to 3 black ribbons right away, we'd get this card, which is worth 3 points at the end of the game, and provides us a manuscript symbol for the whole rest of the game. So we could get into manuscript stuff. It does not feel like we are focusing very much. We're not on a linear here. I'm just kind of doing things that I think make sense in the moment, and I'm really worried that with the AI being so focused, we're going to pay for that. Alright, so now we have the ability to permanently hire if we want. Upon permanently hiring, this guy gives us a virtue. I don't think the Tinker's bad. It's a weird one, though. It has silver gold for symbols, but it gives you a black resource, when it falls off. Yeah, that's a weird one. Okay, I'm not going to hire that. Once your discs have collided like this, they move together. So if we were to gain a virtue right now, it would move both of them over to here. And as you can see, this is just flat a worse payout than this one is. So I will pass on that. We move to the conflict resolution stage of our turn. So we get 3 money and also 2 debts. Which is, I mean, in one sense, it's kind of nice to pick up more cards. In another sense, this is minus 4 points. So, you know, they're good if we can flip them. We just got to do a little bit of work. And then all of the players who are showing 0 criminal symbols get a virtue, which is not you. You totally have a criminal symbol up. Okay, and then these reset. And then I draw back up to my hand size, and hey, look at that, what a top deck. Real glad I reshuffled my discard pile. So, that's going to put us on 2 hammers plus 2 hammers from this stone. If we can just get in a place where we can temporarily hire a single hammer, and there are some places where we can do that, we're definitely going to get ourselves a building at least. Okay, I have hope, I guess. Your turn. Okay, so first of all, get resource. We are definitely interested in gold. Secondly, move 1 space. Blue is right here. And then, attempt to build. Well, you are currently showing hammer, hammer, and a stone, so you can, in fact, successfully build. Builds the leftmost building that it can afford to build. Hold on. What does this do? Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Okay. The AI always wants to place the leftmost building that they can afford from their player board onto the leftmost available building spot of the main board where their Viscount currently stands. The AI gains effects from building spots and links just like human players. Okay. So, you want to go here and get yourself a gold. What a surprise. And then, because this building link has been completed, both the AI and I gain a virtue. Just like in real life. Okay. So this is whenever they process this symbol, they also get that symbol. Is there notation in here about exactly how the AI building spaces work? There is not. Okay. Well, when it comes up, we'll worry about it. When they have to process one of those, I mean, it's just what it looks like, right? So that's the discard a townsfolk symbol, right? Yes, dismiss the townsfolk card near their thing. Okay. So when they do the future scheme thing, they also dismiss a townsfolk. That doesn't seem like a big change for us. Also, really glad they had the stone necessary to do that, so that they didn't just place workers again. Alright, and that makes it our turn. So you fall off. Got this lender dangerously close to actually giving us good value here. And are we taking the sculptor place? The sculptor's got a 3. We could go 1, 2, 3. Temp hire this woodcutter. That's a very expensive move, but also, like, very doable. We have a lot of money. We would get a rearrange. I don't know that we would actually use it. Oh, hey, we gained a debt. So we had an ability here that's like when you gain a debt, you may discard or remove a thing. I missed the trigger, so I'm just not going to do that, but I should have. That would have been cool to do. We definitely should be burning some cards out of our deck, right? but I'm not going to rewind time and take advantage of that. I'm just going to pay more attention in the future. So even though that's expensive, I think it's probably worth doing because I just want to get more buildings built. In particular, I think the outpost that has the free movement under it can be really, really valuable. So let's play Sculptor. We get 3 movement, and we will spend it 1, 2, 3, like we planned. And then we have 1, 2, 3 to temporarily hire you. I guess the question is, do we want to swap the Sculptor and the Racketeer? We definitely want Lender in the far right because we want Lender to fall off. I probably want to maintain the Skull. But like having this ability on the table is definitely interesting. I guess it's less interesting because now we're out of stone after this action. Where's the next town where we could trade for stone? Oof, it's all the way over here. Yeah, okay. Let's do this then. We'll put it's a little clumsy here. We'll rearrange them like this, leaving the Lender in that position. Okay. And then we will take this hammer, plus these 2 hammers, plus this stone, which represents 2 additional hammers, and we will build ourselves a 5-hammer building, the movement outpost, in the one space where we are allowed to build it over here. And this time we've got a pretty virtue-heavy movement going. I mean, I'd love to get a virtue collision and get us a nice big pile of deeds. So, like, the 2 lowest value collision spaces are this one and this one, right? We have to be pretty careful of those. This one's neat because it gets you a deed and a debt, which keeps you in the right place, but it does give every other player a rearrange action, which is potentially pretty bad. And then, obviously, the more you commit to one of the edges, the more you get of the whatever. Yeah, so we'd like to continue getting virtue here, if we can. Alright, so we've done that. That was our action. You are gone to the Abyss box. And now we may permanent hire. What is the card that we've revealed? The Aristocrat. Immediately trash or discard. I don't much care for your symbols. I do love a card that just makes you trash stuff. And we would get a virtue from the hire. I think we need to start thinning. And that's a weird thing to say as a reason to purchase a card, I guess, but I'm going to do it. Oops, that's... Left click is increment, right click is decrement. So put you in here, we get a virtue for hiring you. I'm cool with that. And then no collision to resolve, so just draw up to hand size. Boy, I don't think we have a lot of use for that Squire. That is exactly the kind of card that's getting cut out of our deck, I think. Alright. So, 9 debts, 10 deeds. We have not made a lot of progress here. Alright, so... Gain a virtue, move 3. 1, 2, 3... And gold action if you can. Well, you certainly can. Okay. So they can spend 5, these 2 symbols plus 2. They were 1 gold short of being able to do the big worker. Being able to place 4 workers, which would have been not great for us. The good news is, the number of workers is component limited. At some point, they'll run out of ability to score points by doing this. Alright, so 1 here. 1 there, 1 up here. So you get to flip a card, and this time it'll be a red card, because you prefer to flip whichever you flipped the least of. And now, we have a little bit of an unusual situation. So I've not seen this happen too many times. But after you've resolved all of the places on the board where you have more than 3 workers, you go to each space where there are more than 3 workers, and people get kicked out of the castle. The middle part of this card, this part of this card, tells you what happens to you if one of your workers gets kicked out of the castle. So, first things first, how does the AI choose? Let's see. The AI always wants to place as many workers as possible. It will never attempt to place a single worker for their action. When given the chance to bump workers, the AI will always target you. Okay. Well, so we get one of our workers bounced. And when a worker of yours is bounced from the first tier of the castle, gain 2 money. When they're bounced from the second tier, you get a virtue and a resource of your choice, which obviously is pretty great. And workers cannot be bounced from the third tier. Once they're there, they're safe. Alright, pretty much unquestioned castle dominance. Really doing excellent work here. So, in addition to these cards down here, there is a card that goes to the person who has the largest number of workers in the center part of the castle. That card is worth 5 points, and it increases your max hand size. It's pretty alright, and I suspect the AI is going to get it and keep it forever. Seems like a real tough one for us. So, you're all done then, though. Yeah, that was your action. Alright, so, for us, the lender falls off here, and we get our fall-off reward. I'm going to flip a debt, obviously. What are we at? 10 and 9? So, they're not too different, but I'm going to flip a debt and take a resource. And our resource is going to be stone. I think, right? Because then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from that stone, we could get the other outpost built this turn, no matter where. I think that's probably the smart move. Okay, so we'll place the laborer. So we have 2 movement plus 4 money. Where do we want to put this building? What makes the most sense for us? Let's see, there's deed plus virtue available here. We have 2 movement, right? Yeah, so we could do that by going 1, 2. Additionally, we could get a hire for free. We could flip a card. We could trash a card. Gain a red. Do a trash. I think I like this move. The only potential downside of this is that if we've completed all of the buildings on this side of the board, then it's possible for us to be in a place where we can't build, like on later turns, right? If we're like here and we get a 2, it's a little awkward because all the building slots are full. But I think that's going to be our plan. So we have 2 points of movement from our laborer. We're going to spend it 1, then 2. And we're going to do, like I said, 3 hammers plus 2 hammers. Thank you very much, Sculptor. You have been, like, phenomenal already. Really, really helpful. To build our final outpost here. So, we get a red card plus a virtue. And now, temporary hires always cost us 1, rather than whatever is printed on the card, which seems fine. And, that's locked in 15 points for outposts. That's pretty good. And then we can... I did not choose to do the temporary hire here. Do we want to do a permanent hire? Reconfigure or discard twice is certainly interesting. But honestly, our deck's a little weird and thick right now as it is. I'm not going to do that. Let's hold off. Let's try to be at least a little bit careful with our resources here. So, draw back up to full hand size. Not gonna lie, that's not what I was looking for. And the AI. The AI gets a turn. Can you believe it? What a travesty. Okay, so, first of all, flip a card. I prefer to flip debt. Debt gets you gold. Then move twice. And then manuscript action if you can, which you cannot. You only have 2 manuscript symbols, and the manuscript in your area requires 6. So that one is points for each flipped over debt. We're glad that they're not getting that. Unfortunately, the fact that they're not getting that means that they instead try their preferred action, and they get it. They have 2 of these plus 3 of those. which unfortunately means they get to place 3 of their remaining 5 workers. And this is actually really bad for us. Oh, they get stuff this time. They get so much stuff. Alright, so first things first. 1, 2, 3, and they get a gold for that. Then, if you have 3 workers in a tier 2 segment, one of them moves up, but you can see there's no sideways movement arrows. These guys don't move out to the side. However, you get to move up, you get a resource of your choice, which again is going to be a gold, and you also get the 5 points. The sweet, sweet 5 points, which I would love so much. Alright, then over here, 1, 2, and 3. Get to flip a card. I'm going to get annihilated. Hey, look at that. That's all your cards. How lovely for you. How am I supposed to be resolving? Okay, if the AI has multiple groups with 3 or more workers on the first tier, resolving clockwise order from the section adjacent to their Viscount. Okay. So I didn't do that properly there, because this section would have resolved first. But these 2 didn't have 3 until we resolved that. So let's resolve this next. It's not, I think, this time going to end up making a difference. Alright, so you get a worker up here, which is pretty good for you. That is that's one of the advanced schemes onto the pile, and then because of your building, you also get to discard this Townsfolk. And you get the ability, right? They gain the immediate effect on the top right of the card. They do not gain the symbols. They do not gain the icons. So, gain a virtue. Good for you. And then you resolve this one next, which is pretty straightforward. Get a gold. You are not going to be able to perform gold actions very much anymore. At least I guess there's that. Okay. Now, properly, starting in the region with the Viscount. Resolve these. Okay, so those guys go like that. This guy goes like this, and you get a gold. This is very ugly. And then this resolves, and you get a gold. For players, loose resources are not worth anything, but note for the AI, each extra resource at the end of the game is a point. So we're going to maybe get a little flushed here. And then finally, there is this to resolve. Moves up. These guys move to the side. That gets you a stone and an ink. And then actually the final one, 2 virtue. Hey, that was pretty good. And now you have like 600 points worth of workers. So I'm feeling doomed. Slightly doomed. A little bit doomed. But look, I got 15 points worth of things over here. Okay, my turn. Card management. So where are we at? Where are we at here? We could do more building, I suppose. No, we don't have any stone though. So we effectively have 2 hammers. If we wanted to build, we would have to find at least 1 more hammer somewhere. And actually, the only way we could do that is with this skull, and we definitely don't want to spend enough money to move all the way around for the skull. So what else could we do? Well, we can manuscript. We have 2 ink plus a skull, and almost every manuscript out requires only 3. But maybe this would be a good time to do a trade. We have good trade symbols. So like, a journeyman would mean we have 5 bags showing. What could we get? So we're close to... We wouldn't be able to get this, right? Because the journeyman has... Yeah, he has 2 movement. So we can't stop here. But we could get ink. We could get gold pretty easily. I mean, like, I could come over here and we could try to flood the thing with our own workers, and we could bounce some of the AI's workers maybe and earn ourselves... Not earn ourselves some points, but reduce some of the AI's points. But maybe the right play is to just manuscript a little bit. I know like it's not super exciting, but building out our set of manuscripts, trying to get to a 4 might be a pretty good source of points. So like, what if we did that? What if we played... Instead of you, we play like Financier. We have 3 movement. We go like 1, 2, 3. And we just take a yellow ribbon plus any one resource. I don't know what that one resource is. I don't think that playing the squire makes a huge amount of sense. I guess right now, silver is the rare ribbon color. Right, like there's 2 blues and 2 yellows showing. So maybe we do play the squire just because his number is not 3. We ignore his symbol. We go manuscript, symbol plus 2 inkwells. We could even, actually, we could hire this guy. We temp hire this guy for a manuscript symbol. That's probably a good move. Get this because it helps us work toward our symbols. We get a virtue from this plus a virtue from hiring, which means we get the good collision. I think that's the move. I think we play squire as a 2-cost guy who effectively has no symbols. We take our 2 points of movement, 1, 2. We pay 1 to temp hire this guy because we have the building out that makes that always only cost 1. When we do that, we get a manuscript symbol plus a virtue. We use that symbol plus this symbol plus 1 inkwell to buy this nice cheap manuscript. That's a fair number of points. By itself, that's just 3 points right there, plus it gives us another virtue. Okay, I'm into it. I think that was a reasonable play. I don't know. I'm certainly not making moves like the AI is making moves, though. And then... this gets flipped over, for one thing. Okay, a yellow ribbon that lets you score a point for each 2 workers you have in the castle. That's... okay, we're going to have to make sure that that doesn't fall into the wrong hands. And we can permanently hire, if we want to, the princess. No thank you, I think. I don't think we need that right now. We're already virtue capped. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we move into this resolution. We get 1 of these. We get 3 deeds, which, hey, even if we don't get to flip anything, that is at least 3 immediate points. And then the AI would get a debt if they have a criminal symbol showing, which they do not. Okay, so resolve the collision, draw back up to hand size. Alright, I'm not going to pretend that like I'm ecstatic about the abbot, but I guess it's fine. Alright, and then the AI is going to try to take a gold action again, and I'm just heartbroken, is the thing. Just completely heartbroken about it. Alright, so get a deed. There are now only 5 deeds remaining, 9 debts. So it looks like flipped debts are going to be the valuable thing. 4 movement for the AI goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then take a gold action. So we're showing 2 gold symbols. We only have 2 workers, though. So the most we can do is this. And, fortunately, that locks their workers. They are now out of workers and they have no... I mean, fortunately, this is a real silver lining kind of situation. It's like the worst is over, I guess. It's still pretty bad, though. Alright, and then that's their whole turn. Very unimpressive. So, card management... let's see. Do we want to try to finish a set of manuscripts? We probably do, right? Do we want to try to make this thing happen? Can I make 6 symbols? It would be a lot of work. We'd have to get a lot of inkwells from somewhere. Can we do that? We can one step to the place where the inkwells are traded for. So we could do trader. That only leaves us with 3 bags showing, though. Like, this is really awkward. Yeah, that is unfortunate. Now, when you trade, just like you can use stone for this or gold for this, when you trade, you can just use coin as a resource, as a bag. So if we were to do the trader, we have 3 bags showing. We could put in 3 more coins, and that would get us 3 total ink. I don't know, man. That's pretty soft. Maybe we don't bother with that one. Maybe what we do is Journeyman go 1, 2, and just trade for some card destruction. Get some of this like awkward stuff out of the deck. I don't love it. It's definitely an inefficient move. Another thing we could do is Financier. Go 1, 2, 3, and just buy stone. And try to continue committing to that plan. I like the destruction. I do like the destruction. We probably wouldn't want to hire you. So there's a couple of building slots that'll let us flip cards. We definitely need to flip some debts. That's going to be real important. And we want to do that through building. So I think that is the play then. Financier, gain 2 coins, go 1, 2, 3 to the village where you can trade for stone. And then we are showing 3 bags. So we're definitely at least doing this. That's 2 stone. 4 bags is 2 stone. And I'm going to pay 2 more in, so that's 3 stone. We have some sources of hammers. I mean, but the thing is, we really want to get to 7, right? There's a coin thing coming up here. You know what? I'm going to buy 4 stone. 3 bags plus 5 coins equals 4 stone. Let's really commit. It is a shame that our hammer is about to fall off. But we have a couple of things we have to do before we're ready to build. Like, next turn is definitely going to be a get coins turn. So, yeah, it'll be fine, probably. Okay, so we're not hiring, we're not resolving a thing, we are just drawing a card. Stonecutter is a pretty solid draw in this situation. Okay, your turn. What other ways can you humiliate me, AI? Alright, so first of all, this thing. So that is throw away the middle, yeah. Dismiss the townsfolk here. Okay, so that's, you get a rearrange. Rearranges do something weird for the AI. If I remember correctly. Well, it doesn't actually say here. Oh, right, it's on the reference card though. Anytime they gain a rearrange effect or a 2 silver, they gain a resource. Okay. So you get a gold. Congratulations on that. And then 3 movement. 1, 2, and 3. And then attempt to take the manuscript action, which you can do. You do, in fact, have 3 black symbols if you spend your inkwell. I mean, heck, even if you spend it poorly. And that gets you another gold. And now, after that, once they have 6 gold, they will prefer to get ink. There is a serious non-zero chance of them getting this thing and just making my life truly miserable. Alright, we have silver and black, so blue and yellow are high value. Okay, that's not a terrible situation to be in. Okay, so your turn's over. Let's do stuff. Laborer falls off. And I'm pretty sure right now we play Journeyman. Right, so we go 1, 2. And we have 5 bags showing, so I just take 5 coins. And then we could permanently hire, but I'm pretty sure we don't want to. Yeah, it's not like super exciting. So when the Journeyman falls off, we get to do a hire without paying the cost, and then we gain a virtue, which obviously has some power. So, next turn we're going to play Stonecutter. We're going to have 5 stone plus a hammer. If we can pick up 1 hammer from anywhere, which it looks like we cannot, that's a real bummer. Then we would have been able to build a guild hall. Okay, maybe we're not playing the Stonecutter next. Maybe we're holding off on that. Maybe it'll be like a missionary turn. Yeah, potentially. Alright, so we didn't hire. We're not doing this. We drew already. Okay, another one of these. You discard this guy and get a rearrange, which is to say an inkwell. And then you move 4 again. You are really, really moving. 1, 2, 3. Oh, interesting. All right, so whenever you land in a space that is already occupied by another Viscount, you give them a rearrange. I probably want to rearrange. Right? As much as I don't care for this squire, I think putting Journeyman at the edge of the board here probably makes a lot of sense. So it's, boy, it's probably keep the financier on for longer, I guess. We're more likely to use that bag than we are to use that gold symbol. Neither one of them's great, though. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so thank you. I appreciate that. And then you attempt to build. So you are showing 2 hammers and a stone. Build is success. Congratulations. Alright, so you would build here and get yourself another inkwell. Not a big fan of it. Don't like that happening at all. And now, whenever they shuffle, they get a virtue. Okay. I mean, listen, it was less devastating than a lot of their turns have been. We gotta acknowledge that at least. Alright, so, card management. Journeyman falls off. We gain a virtue, and we get a free hire of... I am remembering that symbol correctly, right? Hire any 1 visible townsfolk card from the main board for free. Yeah, let's do that. So, it would be really great if we could reveal... So let's see here. Our guy has a 2. It'd be really great if we could reveal a hammer. And we're in that situation, right, where there's no building slots left. I'm going to hire this overseer, even though I don't particularly want the overseer, in the hopes that the card underneath here has a hammer, and then we go 1, 2. That's a hammer. Okay, welcome aboard. I do get a shuffle, or a rearrange, but I'm pretty sure these are in the right order already. And then, yeah, that's really good news. Okay, so play a Stonecutter. Go 1, 2. Temporary hire this racketeer, which gives me a reshuffle, which I am not allowed to turn down. Must take the reshuffle. Reshuffling with no criminal symbols up gives me one of those, which is fine. And then, yeah, we did our temporary hire, so that's a hammer. That's a hammer. We get a stone, and then we spend that stone plus these 4. Okay, those were supposed to... There we go. To get ourselves a guild hall. And I think if we're committing to this building thing, we should do the guild hall that gives us a hammer, right? So, Do we want to put it on free hire? Do we want to put it on burn a card? This lets you remove a card from your hand or the top card of your deck, blind. I'm comfortable dropping a card here. And doing that also gets us a gold for completing a link. Alright, let's, is it the Abbot or the Trader? I do think the Trader's pretty bad. I think in a lot of situations I would do Abbot here, but since we have both Abbot and Missionary, we're going to be able to get a pretty good tableau going for manuscripts, so I think in this case it will be the Trader. Be gone forever. You are also gone forever. So that was our action. That was a good number of points right there. And we may do a real hire of the Chevalier, which is, okay, I mean, he's got a knockoff ability that actually flips cards over. We do need to flip debts desperately, but also very expensive for what I think is not actually a very good card for us. So I believe I will skip it. No, thank you. Alright, which means I draw up to hand size. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. And pass the turn to the robot. Okay, criminal symbol, and you gain a corruption. And you gain a debt. And you move 4 times. And you attempt to take this action, but it fails because you have no workers. So instead, you flip a thing and gain a corruption, which moves your stack over here. Prefer to flip a debt, and that earns you an inkwell. Okay, so now we resolve this. You get another inkwell. And also a deed. The stack is starting to get a little thin. And I get a corruption if I have a criminal showing, which I do not. Okay. Alright, and next turn they will, when they need to draw and there's nothing in the thing, they will reshuffle their discard pile, and that will trigger them to gain stuff. Things will happen. We don't need to worry about it right now. Alright, our turn. Card management. This happens. So we don't have a bad face here for trading, but we're definitely setting ourselves into a position to be good at manuscripts. Like, where are we relative to the good manuscripts? So we need a blue and a yellow. We could get the free hire, which I'm not wild about, honestly, with this board. We could buy this. We could try to buy this just to keep it from the AI, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, because it would be devastating for us if they got it. But I think 6 is a pretty tall order. And we're not going to make 6 symbols. Right, we can play missionary this turn, get an inkwell, and this turn could be a market. 2 moves gets us. That's awkward. I mean, I guess we could do this. We could take 2 moves to here and then pay 4 bags for a flip. We will have 5 bags showing. Actually, I really like that. Let's do that. Okay, so missionary. When we play the missionary, get an inkwell. Then 2 movement lets me go 1, 2. So exchange rate is 4 bags to a flip. We're looking at 4 deeds, 4 deeds, and 8 debts. So yeah, we are showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags. I'm going to throw in 3 coins as well. So that is 8 bags. We will take 2 flips, and I'm going to flip both of our debts. And the resource we will get from flipping those debts is, of course, ink. So, the way this works, the way this is to be read is the player who has the most flipped black cards will get 12 points, the next most will get 8, and then the third most will get 4. In a 2-player game, you ignore the middle value, so The one of us that has the most flipped will get 12, and then the second most will get 4, and a player who has no flipped black cards, I believe, doesn't score anything on here. So it is possible for it to be a 12-point differential. Right now, we are tied on flipped black cards, and neither one of us has another one to flip. So we're going to need to fix that at some point here. And then we could hire... I'm not, obviously, going to do that. I have only 2 coins left, and they are too precious. So I guess we're... yeah, done. Alright, so you do this thing, and then in order to draw, you must shuffle. And when you shuffle, you gain a virtue. Okay. So, 1 corruption for each skull showing. Then, flip a debt which you cannot do. So, is there a thing that happens... This is when given a choice, but you are not given a choice. I think this is just a nothing. Yeah, because it's not the choice symbol. It's specifically flip a debt. Okay, if given the chance to flip a thing and you can't, you gain a virtue. That's what you get instead. Okay, and then 2 movement puts you here. And then you can't do your normal actions. You gain a deed and a debt and a resource. Yeesh. And it's no longer inkwells. Now you're gaining stone. We're going to lose by like 50. That's my concern. Alright, so my turn. Stuff slides over. So if we play the Abbot now, we do have the 6 symbols that we need. And it's exactly the right amount of movement. This is expensive, but it's a strong defensive play, and it's a color we don't have yet. I think we have to. I think it's way too dangerous to let this just sit on the table any longer than we need to. And it's not like we're buying off type. I would not hire the princess here. So we do that. That costs us our 2 symbols plus all of the ink in the universe. But I think it was the right play. And then we're still not going to hire you. So I guess that's my whole very exciting turn. So next turn we can play Thief and just have 3 symbols showing. But the thing right next to us requires more than that. And we don't have a way of getting another ink. Alright, well... Sorry, we should flip this over. We'll figure that out, I guess, during our next turn. Let's worry about it then. So, like I told you, there's a lot of little symbols and a lot of little icons and stuff, but individual turns actually aren't that complicated. It's just a lot of little simple systems all interacting. So, this is discard Townsfolk. So you burn this guy and earn yourself a reshuffle. So congratulations on your virtue. Then you move 3. 1, 2, 3. And you attempt to write a manuscript, and I have to imagine you're going to succeed. Yes, you have 7 symbols, so 3 symbols plus 3 ink, which I failed to put in the inkwell well. Unfortunately, gets you a pretty good manuscript. I mean, the good news is it's not a lot of points, because it's the start of a second set, but it is kind of a lot of points still, actually. Never mind that thing I said. I was lying. Okay, that's done. Points per criminal symbol in your deck. So that's not horrible for us, actually. And that is the color we're missing. Let me move this out of the way. That would not be a bad one to pick up, actually, if we could make that happen somehow. Unfortunately, I don't know that we can. Alright, so card management. If we thief right now, where does that put me? I could move up to here and trade for inkwells. That's not so bad. We would have 4 bags showing, 1 on the missionary, 2 on our board, and 1 on the thief. So we would just take 2 inkwells. And then it was pretty ugly. What other choices do we have? I mean, obviously we want to do more building. We don't actually even have the ability to have 3 hammers showing, though. Yeah, there's no hammers out here on the board. So we probably do go ahead and play Thief right now. Just to have a skull on the board for later. It's going to be a pretty unimpressive turn, though. So we gain a corruption for that, and then is it just take 2 inkwells? I wish this was a 3. If we just had 1 more ink, we'd be in such a better spot. Well, what else can we do? We could go here, and then pay 1 coin to go here. Temp hire the Overseer for 1 coin to get a gold symbol, and then we have that plus this plus 3 gold makes 3 workers in here, which would mean that we get to push a worker up to there and get a gold. I mean, that doesn't seem great, right? Yeah, the thing is, I just don't really want gold. I think finishing the set is pretty good. If we buy any blue ribbon, it's 7 points. I'm just going to go ahead and do this, even though it's not very good. Alright, so we're up there. We have 4 bags showing. We just take 2 ink, and it's like a pretty unimpressive turn. You know, every once in a while, the AI has those as well. I could hire you, but I don't think I want to. I will say, we've gotten a lot of good value out of this 2-bag building so far. And then, I don't know exactly when we're planning to actually use these inkwells, but, you know, like later. Like some other time. So, yeah, I think we're just done. Alright, and then it is your turn, and you're totally killing it. Really great job, AI. Alright, gain a virtue. Move 3. And gold action, or preferred action, or gain debt flip deed. This is pretty good. This is pretty good action. So we're at 3 and 6 now. And you are able to get to 5 flipped debts. That's very bad news. Alright, card management does this. So if we play Laborer right now, we have 3 hammers showing, thanks to the building. We don't have a debt to flip. So we could come over here and do a flip, but we'd be flipping a deed, which is 2 points. It's not nothing. But obviously, it's pretty far from ideal. We could play... I guess we could just play something for the purpose of moving to here. Just anything that moves 2. Spend Abbot plus Thief plus Inkwell to complete our set. Get 2 other resources. Basically just give up on this thing, the points from this thing, but just take this. score out our set, because the game's gonna end... Oh, we didn't resolve this. You should have gotten a deed. Ordinarily, I don't like to rewind time and fix stuff, but this is mandatory. We're not actually allowed to not do this. And I would have gained a corruption if I have a skull showing, which I totally did, so okay. Yeah, so there's two deeds left. Like, the game's gonna end real soon. We do actually have to get this done. So, of the things that cost 2, which one makes the most sense to play? I mean, we could just get the hammer down and then spend it later. Honestly, I don't hate that. Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 2 black symbols plus 2 inkwells. Lets us rack this up, which I do not hate. And we take stone, right? Pretty sure. Okay. And then we can hire the Traveler. Don't really want to. Don't think. Yeah, I'd rather save the coins. So, draw up to hand size. Yo, Sculptor, what an incredible draw. What a moment. What a moment for that thing to happen. Sculptor's been so good to us. Sculptor is really an extremely good card. Alright, 2 Virtue, and 1 Movement, and Attempt to Manuscript, which you succeed at without even having to spend ink. Congratulations on your blue ribbon. Now, that is a free hire, and a free hire is Future Scheme. And when you Future Scheme, you also discard this patron. And that symbol, anytime you would discard, you instead Virtue. Okay. Yep, that deed pile's going out, like, real soon. Okay, so that's the manuscript action resolved. Okay. We do this. So then Sculptor puts us on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Yeah. Okay, so where do we want to build? We get to put down an expensive building and make a lot of points. With a movement of 3, we could go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So here we would get a stone, we would get 2 coins and give 2 coins. Over here, we'd get a free hire. Like, we'd only have to spend 1 coin for the extra movement, which we have. We'd get a free hire and we'd get a virtue, which seems alright, actually. Then we are unfortunately in this area of the board where there is no space to build. What do we get out of a free hire? More virtue, potentially. Which we don't actually want, right? Yeah, I don't want to end up over here. I want to get a debt. And then find some way to flip it. Which is that's gonna be an adventure in and of itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could pay all of my coins to get over here. Right? Yeah, I only have 2 money. Oh, you know what? At the end of next turn, we're going to get a debt when Thief falls off. So actually what we want to do is try to position ourselves such that it will be easy for us to build on one of these spaces next. We don't have another build symbol or another stone, though. Oh, it's a problem. That's what's called a problem in the industry. So, if we go, like, 1, 2, 3... 4, 5... We do a hire. We would get to discard something in an attempt, like, just dig for more cards, because we still have... we can look at our discards. We're not allowed to look at our deck. Yeah, we still have the 2-cost guy that we hired early in the game in our deck. So there's a skull in our deck. Also, one of the cards in our deck is our hero, who does not have a build symbol, but he does have a stone on him. So yeah, I think that's maybe the right move. All right, let's do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4... Oh, no, wait, sorry. 4, 5 to get through the part of the board where we can't build anymore. All right, we go to here. We spend 2 stone for 3 hammers. Plus, we have 4 hammers showing, so we build this guild hall. Is it this guild hall? Do we do a gold one? We probably do the gold one at this point. We're not really interested in writing manuscripts too much anymore. Yeah, so it's probably this one. We build this guild hall here, which gives me a virtue and gives you a virtue. That deed pile's running out. And then I also get a free hire, and I take one of the ones that gives us a discard. Probably the Chevalier. I mean, like, we're not going to get much use out of either of their actual abilities, I don't think. There's no way I'm going to get another fall off, right? I guess it's the Peddler. We'll take the Peddler, and we will discard Overseer for his hiring bonus. And then I'm hard out of money, which is a real shame. But things are going well in a lot of other ways. And then we draw up to hand size. All right, there he is, Lothar. So Lothar gives us a stone plus... I mean, we had enough hammers anyway. Actually, I guess it didn't end up mattering. Yeah, there was no way we were ever going to get to 7. Okay, so I didn't really need to be concerned about that. In fact, that gives us a lot of freedom then. Yeah, so that's the end of that turn. Your turn. I'm a little concerned about where this is headed score-wise. Okay, so 2 criminal symbols. 2 corruption for you. Then flip a deed. Then move 3. Where are you? Right here. 1, 2, 3. Then can't do your normal actions, so get a deed, flip a debt. And that'll give you an ink, because you're back below 4. Man, when they run out of the ability to do their main action, they really start racking it up. Also, while doing their main action, they really rack it up. Okay, so our turn, card management here. We get a coin and a debt. Gosh, I wish I had more debt. So, if we move 1 or 2 spaces, we can go 1 or we can go 1, 2. We can build here, flip that debt. So does it matter terribly which one we do? I don't really think it does. I think just like Lothar here is totally fine. I suppose, in theory, we should play the lender, because there's at least a chance that we could be given a rearrange for some reason. Yeah, I mean, if we're showing the 3 hammers. If we somehow got a rearrange, that would be pretty good. Okay, so we do this. We just have the 3 hammers showing. What is this? It's gain a virtue before resolving. I don't want to do that. Let's do this. All right, build that right there, which lets me flip a debt, which lets me take a stone. We're not going to be able to get back to 7 hammers, though, right? Like, the only reason to take a stone would be to try to make this guild hall actually happen. Well, I guess that's not true. We're gonna see hammers falling off. Yeah, I take a stone for flipping my debt. So I'm on 4 flipped debts, as are you, and you have a 5th debt. It's very grim. It's a very grim situation. Alright, I do believe I am done. Okay, so... Wait, did this happen during your turn? Because you only resolve corruption at the corruption markers being collided at the end of a player's turn. When was... You can tell it's getting a little bit late. When did this happen? This happened when you did this, right? So this, we should have resolved this at the end of the AI's last turn, which means the AI would have gotten the last deed that would have signaled the penultimate round. I would have gained a corruption because I did have a skull showing at the time. Your stuff gets reset. Sorry, that'll be the right state for that. And then that means at the end of my turn, I would have had to resolve this. So this is not a limit on the number of deeds, it's just for tracking how many have been dealt out. So I would have gotten a deed and a debt, and the AI would have gotten a rearrange, which gives them a resource of their choosing. And then my stuff would have been reset. I'm pretty sure that's how that timing should have worked out. Okay. So that means that the AI's last turn marked the penultimate round of the game, which means we are now in the final round of the game. I am the starting player. I took the first turn. So the AI finishes this turn and then the game is over. Real bad news for me. That's my opinion of what just happened. Alright, so the AI gets a reshuffle, and upon reshuffling, gets a virtue. Then moves 1 space. Then would take gold action, but obviously can't. What about build action? Well, we do have stone plus 2 skulls. Lucky you. That goes here. You get to flip a thing. Oh, that's a shame. You have an equal number of flipped deeds and debts, so you get to flip a 5th debt. And that earns you a stone. And then I believe that's the end. That's the end of the game. So, grim. A grim outcome. I got a little surprised there. That resolved very suddenly. Yeah, that final debt flip is such a heartbreaker. Okay, so let's talk about scoring. I'm going to tell you right now, we definitely lost, and by a lot. So, once the game is ended, players should add up their score for the following areas. First of all, constructed buildings. For the AI, a simple 9 points, very straightforward. We did all right on this, so we get 15 plus 13 plus 5, so 33. Don't get excited. This is not as good as it looks. Right? I did that right. 18, 15. Yeah, okay. Second scoring criterion, workers in the castle. Well, first let's do ours. 1. 1 worker on tier 1. Okay, here we have 9. Remember, each of these is worth 3. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 workers at 2 points each brings us to a total of 27. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So that puts you at 44 points. That's real bad news, because I'm pretty sure the AI has more uncounted points than we do, by quite a large margin. Transcribed manuscripts. This one's pretty okay for us. So the AI has a set of 1 color and a set of 2 colors, which is a total of 5 points. And then this one is worth 1 additional point for each flipped manuscript, which is 54. Pretty good. We managed to pull a full set of 16, which is fun, but none of ours are worth any points. This one is worth 1 point for each 2 workers you have in the castle, so 0 for me. Then, Castle Leader and Cleric bonus cards. The AI does, in fact, have Castle Leader. Neither one of us got any of the Cleric cards, although the AI was close. And then, Debts and Deeds Raw. So you have 16 points from that. 75. While I, sadly, have 7, but then also -2. Just out here killing it. And finally, the last thing is the Poverty card / Prosperity card. So, yeah, the red card was revealed. Player with the most flipped black cards gets 12 points. Sadly, that is over here for a final score of 87. And then I get 4 points on that, because I did at least have some. The middle reward is ignored, but I do get my 4. I'm going to level with you. That's not as bad as I thought it was. I mean, it's still a 30-point loss, but just looking at things like that, I thought that was going to be, like, really miserable. As it is, I only feel pretty miserable. So, there's a lot of stuff going on in this game, and the AI is very good at running its linear. So we are going to have to tighten up our gameplay and actually commit to a linear ourselves, and also it would be a good idea not to lose the Poverty or Prosperity card at the end. So those are some things to look forward to next time for tomorrow's episode. But I do believe we are very out of time for today. I really like doing board game stuff. I wish that I could find time to do it more. I think this is the situation we're in this week is a good excuse for it. So that is going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Anyone who's stuck with it and is actually at the end of this video, congratulations to you. When you come back next time, tomorrow, we're going to try it again, and we're just going to do a much better job. I mean, that's really all there is to it. And we'll see you then.